Mira and Harper Audio present Her Secret Son by Hannah Mary Mckinnon. Performed by Alex Wyndham. Chapter 1. They say the lucky ones experience an incredible, life-defining moment. A moment they can point back to as the second everything changed. Maybe it was sitting down on the bus next to a stranger who became the love of their life, or witnessing the birth of a child they were told they'd never conceive. Perhaps getting that elusive break the day the boss had the flu, launching a career that until then was only the stuff of dreams. And then there are the others, people like me, who have life-shattering moments instead. We're the ones who want to believe we've had more than our fair share of bad luck, enough misfortune to last multiple lives over. We get comfortable, believe nothing else can go wrong because fate has already played with us the most, seen how far we can be stretched and bent, twisted into the shape of a pretzel before becoming brittle and shattering into a million pieces. For me, one of these moments came late one Friday morning, as I stood in Harlan Gingold's dark, wood-panelled study, the musty air closing in on me. I pulled at the neck of my sweater in a futile attempt to cool down. I'd forgotten how warm he kept this room, as if he secretly longed to be a gecko under a heat lamp and pretend he was somewhere far closer to the equator than the outskirts of Albany in upstate New York. His study smelled of expensive whiskey and Cuban cigars, wizened fingers left to linger in an ashtray. A stereotypical rich man's man cave, complete with leather armchairs and gold-lettered law books Harlan no doubt cited by heart when he valiantly fought, and usually won, his cases in court, something he'd done for longer than I'd been alive. We were going over the quote for the pool house extension and elaborate backyard revamp he'd promised his wife for the spring. While he checked the details again, running an index finger down the page, I tried to ignore the buzz of my mobile in my back pocket. Harlan was the kind of man who commanded nothing but your undivided attention. In this case, I couldn't blame him, not with the amount of zeros he was writing on the deposit check my bosses had sent me to collect. My phone rang a second time. While Harlan put the final flourish on the paperwork with his thick Mont Blanc fountain pen, I slid my mobile from my pocket and glanced at the screen. My neighbour's number. Nothing unusual in itself. Mrs. Banks often called for a hand around the house, putting together yet another of her bookcases, repairing the front door, unblocking a sink. Nothing that couldn't wait, or would justify the lecture about people's dependence on technology Harlan would no doubt dispense if I answered. "There you go, Josh," he said as he handed me the check. "Thanks," I said. "I'll see you next month?" "Yes, I've no doubt you'll do a great job as always. My yard has never looked better. Those Fraser firs were the talk of the street when they were lit up for Christmas. Even Ivan was impressed." I grinned, thinking I'd enjoy ribbing Ivan about not paying the compliment forward. I wouldn't give him too much of a hard time. He'd become my best mate since we met a few years back, and since then he'd pointed a number of his friends and colleagues my way, including the firm's biggest cheese and Ivan's uncle, Mr. Harlan Gingold himself. When I told Ivan I owed him one, he cheerily replied, "Better make it a big one, whatever it is," before graciously settling for a pair of football tickets I got on the cheap. Harlan accompanied me to the front porch, where he shook my hand as I ignored the ongoing buzzing of my phone. He lifted his nose toward the dark grey early March skies, swirling with ominous fast-moving clouds, and breathed in deep, nostrils flaring. "Something wicked this way comes," he said. "You better batten down the hatches, son. You Brits aren't used to our snow. And tell that lovely wife of yours to keep you safe." I didn't bother reminding him Grace and I weren't married, or argue that, despite my strong British accent, I'd lived in the US for 20 years. I was only too familiar with the legendary winters. For crying out loud, the city competed in the annual Golden Snowball Award, although it regularly lost to Syracuse. As Grace
Sample complete. Ready to continue?